Let's stand together and turn to page 566 and 661. We're going to sing through the first one twice. I've thought this out. And 661, we're going to sing that once. So that'll be 3. And this is the no secret right here. God can do anything, anything, anything. God can do anything but fail. He can save, he can keep, he can cleanse, and he will. God can do anything but fail. He's the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. He's the fairest of 10,000 to my soul. God can do anything, anything, anything. God can do anything but fail. You may be seated.
All right, young people can be dismissed this morning. Psalm 46, if you're in here. Got to do a fall wedding yesterday outside. Oh, it was nice. Some guys don't like weddings and all that kind of stuff. I don't mind them. It's a day where everybody's happy, right? Now, tomorrow I'll do a funeral. That's the opposite effect. Right? Those aren't great. Great time to give the gospel, but total different feel for the room. But yesterday was a lot of fun. Did you have fun yesterday?
Yes.
You did? Good.
Yes.
Good, good, good. Well, Jim had fun. Did anybody else go with Jim? Sounds like he's the only one that went. Psalm chapter 46. We started here last week. We left off in verse number 5. We'll go ahead and read it. It's not that long, and it'll be your Bible reading for the day anyways. Zing, there's your zinger. All right, here we go. Psalm 46, 1. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore will we not fear, though the earth be removed, and though the mountains be carried into the midst of the sea, though the waters thereof roar and be troubled, though the mountains shake with the swelling thereof. Selah. There is a river, the streams whereof shall make glad the city of God, the holy place of the tabernacles of the Most High. God is in the midst of her. she shall not be moved. God shall help her, and that right early. The heathen raged, and the kingdoms were moved. He uttered his voice, and the earth melted. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. Selah. Come, behold the works of the Lord. What desolations he hath made in the earth. He maketh wars to cease unto the end of the earth. He breaketh the bow and cutteth the spear in sunder. He burneth the chariot in the fire. Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the heathen. I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. Selah. So we looked at that refuge and strength that God is, and then we looked at the roaring without fear in verses 2-3. We started looking at the rescue without fear in verses 4-7. We looked at the incredible nature of that rescue and how the immense nature of God is in verse number 5. God is in the midst of her, she shall not be moved. And it's very easy, we were mentioning last week, it's very easy to get caught up in everything that goes on. There's so much that goes on in the world, in the broad spectrum, that it's really easy to get focused on those kinds of things. That's why I like a day like yesterday, and I knew a few people that were there. I met the bride and groom a few months ago, but I did not know them. I knew her dad, and so it was just a nice reminder that, hey, nice things still happen in the world, right? People are still getting married with the intention of staying married, and they have the right view on it. Those things still happen. You know, we look at it, it's really easy to be the negative Nelly, right? It's just listen, if that's your mindset, that's a horrible way to live. I don't want to be around you. I have enough trouble with negativity myself, and to have someone else around me that's just, when they speak, it's always the negative side of things. I don't care to be around it. The world is just bad enough as it is. So God's immensity is here, and we mentioned that he is our defense in Psalm 89:18, and notice in the end of verse 5 that God is this rescue he is immovable. He says in the end of verse 5, God shall help her. In the middle of the verse, she shall not be moved. So having God on your side makes you stationary. The only reason we move is because we get filled with fear. The only reason we shake and tremble is because of the fear that we allow to affect us, and the fear doesn't come from God. God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. If you can win the mind battle, you win the fear battle. But if you're losing the mind battle, you're losing the fear battle. Both of those go hand in hand. I was listening to a NASCAR podcast, Don't Judge Me, this week. And they were talking about how over the past probably decade or so, sports psychiatrists have become really, really big. And they become big because a major part of what you're doing, especially in that arena, is when you arrive there at the racetrack, you have to believe that you're the best person there. And if you don't, then don't get in the car. When you show up, if you don't think that you're going to win, if you don't believe that you have the ability, then don't be there. And that's all starts all in here. And the reason we let fear overtake us, and the reason we let the things of the world overtake us, is because we're losing the battle in our mind. Well, the devil's just winning. This is his domain. This is his playground. He knows he has nothing else, so he's giving it the best that he has. Don't lose that battle. He's not going to win. And here's the crazy part. We already know that he's not going to win. Well, the world's just getting worse. Time out. You already know it's going to get worse. Right? There isn't anything in your Bible that says the world's getting better. There's nothing there. The world's getting worse. Why? Man is sinful. Well, what do you mean by man? I mean you. You are sinful. You say, well, what does that mean, you? Absolutely. All have sinned and come short of the glory of God. So don't lose that battle. Don't be movable. God is in the midst of her. She shall not be moved. Then notice what it says. God shall help her, and that right early. Notice the individual help or the individual rescue that God will bring. God will help her, and then it uses this phrase, and that right early. Well, what? That's why I don't like the King James Bible, because blah, blah, blah. No, you know what that means? It means he's going to be there right now. That means he is going to be there in the moment that you need him. He will be there. Well, I have all this stuff in my life, and he hasn't helped me once. Okay, there's also what you reap is what you sow is what you reap. I said that backwards. What you sow is what you're going to reap. So that is still a principle that is in your life. If you were dumb, and now you're 40, and you're like, God delivered me. No, you know what you did for the last 20 years? You were planting seeds. And you know what you're going to do? You're going to do a whole lot of reaping. A whole bunch of it. For 27 years, I have beat up my body. I have lifted things I shouldn't have lifted. I have torn up floors I should not have tore up. Those little tiny tiles that were really, really popular when you all were young. They're about that big, 8 by 8 tiles. And if they are in your house, do not touch them. Leave them alone. Because in them, one of my siblings just sent, and if you ask me about it later, I'll send it to you. But they sent this little commercial. It was black and white, so I don't know what year. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings about the age or anything. But it was old. And it was all about the great help of an asbestos blanket. Yeah, and they put it in everything. Why? It was great stuff. So here's what I know. In my 27 years, and hopefully my wife's not listening, there's been moments. Those are 8 by 8 tiles. I moved them. I took a couple up. Had to be dead. Say, what's that? What does that mean? We'll find out. But here's what I know. I probably sowed some stuff. Hopefully I don't reap that, but odds are it's there. In 27 years, they've made glue a whole lot better. When we did the stuff in here, a couple of people mentioned, oh, the glue is strong. No, it's not. No, they used to be. When I started, when you put the glue down, you were high for 2 days. And they've fixed all that stuff and done all that. You know how many brain cells I've burnt off glue that I was not intentionally sniffing? Right? It was just part of what I was doing. What is that? You're just reaping stuff. I have pushed things. I have lifted things. I hurt. I ache. And I'm only 45. Now, when I get up in the morning, God, since I'm a Christian, I just shouldn't hurt. I just shouldn't have any aches. No. You know what we've done? I've wrecked dirt bikes before. You can ask my sister about this one. Mom and Dad were gone. Dad was preaching somewhere. And I was riding my dirt bike, and I went off the trail like 2 foot, and I hit a rock about that big. It was just in the tall grass. And I flew, I bet you, 50 foot. Landed in the middle of the gravel road. Gravel was all up in my arm. Knocked me out. And she was the one that had to run down and get me. And of course, she was keeping it together. And no, I've done dumb stuff. What is that? You're sowing seeds, right? That eventually you get up in the morning. Oh, why does that hurt? Well, when you were 15, right? You did something, and now your body's just saying, "Hey, remember that one day that you looked at your friends and said, 'Hey guys, watch this.'" How many trees have you fallen out of and bounced off the branches on your way down? I've lost track. Why? That was just life growing up. It's really fun to get a metal saucer and put it behind a snowmobile. And we used to have, it's all private property now, but it used to be an old landing strip right next to Mom and Dad's house. And we used to get on that thing and just, speed. What speed limit? Speed limit, nothing. And listen, a metal saucer will move. You don't want a plastic one. Those are for sissies, yeah. Metal ones are awesome. You do have to spray them. I wasn't going to say that, Dave. And you get going, and speed, what's that? You know when you're going too fast when the person on the saucer is no longer on there. And if they happen to be holding on really, really fast or really, really hard, and they're not coming off, what do? Well, you just do a little swerving, and then they roll. And then what is that? That's stupidity, number one. It's just reaping. It's things we didn't tell Mom until like 4 or 5 years ago. We didn't tell her stuff like that. We didn't get hurt bad, so we didn't tell her that kind of stuff. That's just reaping. We've all reaped things, and that principle is still there. It doesn't mean that God doesn't have to bail you out. But when you're in trouble, God will be there. When you're going through things in your life, God will be there to help you. Notice in verse number, let's go to Romans chapter 8. Look at verse 33. Romans 8. Romans 8 and 33. Paul says, who shall lay anything to the charges of God's elect? It is God that justifieth. Who is he that condemneth? It is Christ that died, yea, rather, that is risen again, who is even at the right hand of God, who also maketh intercession for us. So he is there for you. So then he asks you a bunch of questions. Who shall separate us from the love of Christ? Shall tribulation or distress or persecution or famine or nakedness or peril or sword? Here's the issue with all of those things, and you could add a whole bunch more in there. All of those things make you feel like you're separated from the love of Christ, but you're not. As it is written, for thy sake we are killed all the day long. We are counted as sheep for the slaughter. Nay, in all these things we are more than conquerors through him that loved us. For I am what? I am persuaded. There is the mental battle. How big is your God? He's as big as you think he is. For I am persuaded that neither death, nor life, nor angels, nor principalities, nor powers, nor things present, nor things to come, nor height, nor depth, nor any other creature shall be able to separate us from the love of God which is in Christ Jesus our Lord. You should be a person that is secure in the fact of who your God is, and fear shouldn't be shaking you from that. There are things that come into your life that are uncomfortable, they're unwanted, they don't feel good, but it doesn't mean that you're separated out from God. The only way that battle is lost is if you lose it up here, is if you overthink it. And we would probably all say, I'm the best overthinker in the room. Why? Because we're all guilty of it. You get somewhere and it's quiet, or it doesn't even have to be quiet. You get somewhere and you're semi-alone, the thoughts start rolling. Here's what I know about myself. I'm an early rising person. And even if I'm trying to not be an early rising person, my body by about 5:15 to 5:30 is beginning to wake up. And as soon as I'm waking up to have one thought, I'm done. And it doesn't matter what the thought is. Once my thoughts start going, and here we are, and I might as well just get up and get out of bed. And that's all of us. So don't lose that battle. Notice, if you would, lastly, verses 8 through 11, here's the rest without fear. So he ends the thought in verse 7 with Selah. Then he says, come, behold the works of the Lord, what desolations he hath made in the earth. You say, well, that's pretty morbid. Always keep this in mind. Whatever's happening in the world, God is allowing it to happen. And once again, a lot of the things that are happening are because we've sown some things that we're now reaping. I sent a video to my brother yesterday. It was I think it was an English pilot. And the guy, I was asking him about his retirement, blah, 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 and what did you do for a living? And he said, I was a fighter pilot for 30 years, and I went all over the world, and I killed thousands of people, and every one of them deserved it. I'm like, okay, I'm glad you were the guy doing that. There's no PTSD there. Nothing at all. He is good to go. He was out walking his dog. Without a care in the world. What does that come from? That comes from where the world is going. You know why there are people that deserve that? Because we're sinful. And all the desolations, all the bad things that are happening because God is allowing them to happen. And every once in a while, I'm not willing to step out and to say what they all are, but every once in a while, something does come from God. Sometimes those are difficult, and we're really good at picking the ones that we want to say, well, that was God. And be careful. Is God allowing it to happen? Sure, absolutely. My favorite thing to watch is just weather. Because that's the easiest thing for God to just go. Just let her ride. I've thought about retiring to Florida, but then when hurricane season comes along, I'm just like, nope. Why? All you need is one storm and you're done. Your life will never be the same. Here's some rest without fear. Verse 8 and 9. Here's the first thought. Behold our God. He says, come behold the works of the Lord. Now, all of God's works aren't desolation. All of God's works aren't bad. Go to Psalm 111. Notice what David has to say about God in this psalm. Remember, he's your refuge. He's your strength. He's the person that you should be leaning into. Psalm 111, verse 1. Praise ye the Lord, I will praise the Lord with my whole heart, in the assembly of the upright and in the congregation. The works of the Lord are what? They're great, sought out of all them that have pleasure therein. His work is what? Honorable and glorious, and his righteousness endureth forever. He hath made his wonderful works to be what? Remembered. Yeah, bad things happen, but why are the bad things that happen are the only things we talk about? Just take this next week and just watch the stuff you have conversations about. Very rarely is it uplifting things. Why? It's just human nature. We serve a God who does wonderful things to be remembered. You say, well, what are those? Well, if he saved you, that's the first one. And the second one is you're still breathing. Right? Now, for some of us, that's a little bit more difficult than the other person, but you're still breathing. You are still here. Verse 5, he hath given meat unto them that fear him. He will ever be mindful of his covenant. He hath showed his people the what? The power of his works, that he may give them the heritage of the heathen. The works of his hands are verity and judgment. Verity is truth. God's works are truth and judgment. What God does is right. In your life, what God is allowing to happen is right. And sometimes I don't like that because it's not fair, and I didn't ask for it. But God, in his works, are verity and judgments. All of his commandments are what? They're sure. They're absolutely the right thing. You know where we get off course? Is when I lean to my own understanding. I get off course when I look at what God's doing and I try to figure it out for myself. I get off course when I look at how the world's going and I focus more on that than how great God is. How about this week? However you get your news, you take whatever that time is and just focus on how great God is this week. You know how different your week would be? Completely different. Your thoughts would be different. Verse 8, these works of his hands, notice what they do. These commandments that are sure, they stand fast forever and ever and are done. His works, his commandments, are done in truth and uprightness. He sent redemption unto his people. He hath commanded his covenant forever. Holy and reverend is his name. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. A good understanding have all they that do his commandments. His praise endureth forever. Behold our God. And you could grab a psalm after psalm after psalm after psalm of David just beholding how great God is. Take this week and just focus on how great God. Stop looking at, it's so easy to look at myself and how bad things are for me, and we're all guilty of all those things. How great is your God? How wonderful in your life has he been? And just take a week, write them down. Do it old-fashioned style. Get yourself some paper and a number 2 pencil. Pretend you're going back to school and just write those things out. How great is your God? It'll change the way you think. Back to Psalm 46. And do that without your admixture of comment. Because we're really good at that. Just list how great is he. Notice, if you would, in verse 10, he says, what's the first 2 words? Now, this is the last thought for the day, and I don't like this one. I don't like being still. Unless I'm sitting on the beach somewhere, then I'm okay being still. But beyond that, I don't want to be still. Because when I'm still, I'm left with my own thoughts. And I'll lose that battle. But the only way to get to know God and to remember who he is and to focus on who he is to do it in the stillness. We lose God because we're too busy. We lose God because the world is just so loud. Just so loud. There's always something going on. There's always somebody doing something. We moved out to where we moved because there was Dave and his wife over here, and they're pretty quiet people. There was an older lady across the street, and that hasn't bothered us. Actually caught somebody breaking into our house, and we were working on it, and parked her tractor in the driveway and waited for the sheriff to come to arrest him. So that's good. Nice to have her around. And next to me was 20 acres of nothing. Like, oh, the solitude. This is great. Not anymore. And a year and a half later, they come in and drop 45 houses in there. And now when I go on the back porch, I've got people and birthday parties and the neighbor's dog next to me. I was going to pause real quick. How can you not hear your dog barking? Right? Like, how is it? What are you doing in your house that you're in there and you don't hear that dude out there? Right? Like, I'm asking for a friend. I don't understand it. So if I want to go sit outside, there's always, why? Because the world is just busy and it's just loud. And listen, they can have a birthday party. I'm not mad at them for doing those kinds of things. And when they have parties that aren't birthday parties and there's really loud music that you can hear the lyrics to that are lyrics that I don't want to hear. There's all those things too. Why? The world's loud and we lose God and all that kind of stuff. So if I want to know him, here's what he says. Be still and know that I am God. He says in Psalm 4, verse 4, stand in awe and sin not, commune with your own heart upon your bed and be still. You want to know who God is? Stop. If you don't take time in your day away from everything, I know you're busy, you've got stuff. If you don't set it all down and be still and find a place of quiet where your phone's not scrolling and the TV's not on and it's just you and him, you're not ever going to know who he is. Trying to find him in the busyness of our life is difficult because he's so different than we are. He's not chasing what we're chasing. David said, be still and know that I am God. He said in Psalm 130, verse 5, I wait for the Lord, my soul doth wait, and in his word do I hope. You know where you're going to find him? You know why most of you have heard most of your life? You need to read your Bible every day. Because that's how you find out who he is. And you don't read it in the middle of traffic. And you're not reading it at the timeouts of the football game. You need to read it in the quiet, where you're not bothered. Well, I'm always bothered. Then you need to find some moments where you're not bothered. Well, I've got kids. Your kids need to know during this time frame, I'm off limits. Yeah, but what if they need me? You need God more than they need you. Because if you don't have God, you're not going to be the parent that they need. So you better find some just quiet. Now, I'm not telling you that's an hour and a half. I'm just telling you, you better find some time. And you better hold it for him. Why? You're not going to find him scrolling Facebook. God's not on Facebook. And no, you didn't see him. He's not there. What's there? Idiocy. It's an absolute waste of time and effort and energy. And yet here we are. Solomon said in Proverbs 20, verse 22, "Say not thou, I will recompense evil, but wait on the Lord, and he shall save thee." You know what we want to do? Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go over there and I'm going to tell them, no. You know what the hardest thing to do is to wait for God to take care of it. Let me just promise you something. If it needs to be taken care of, God will take care of it. When David had rocks thrown at him and dust kicked at him, and there was an offer on the table for someone to get off a horse, wasn't there? And to take somebody's head off. And if it's me, I'm probably taking the offer. But it wasn't me, it was David, and he said, it may be that the Lord had him say those things. You know what David was doing? What David did his entire life, he waited on God to just take care of it. I need to wait on God in the stillness to learn who he is. And when things aren't going my way, listen, you don't need to be kicking indoors. Let God do some work in your life. Let God be the one. If judgment needs to be handed out, let him be the one that hands it out. And it's difficult when it's personal. Right? It's difficult when it's your kids or grandkids that were offended. Then you're just loading for bear. You're going. People are going to die. No, just let God take care of it. Here's a verse, Isaiah 40:31. But they that wait upon the Lord. What does it say that first thing that you'll do? You'll renew your strength. You know why we're tired? We're not taking enough time to be still and know who God is. You know why we lose every day mentally? Is we're not spending enough time just alone with him. Be still and know that God has tomorrow already under control. God lives in your tomorrow, the day that you never actually ever get to see. We talk about tomorrow, but we never wake up in it. Even if you stayed up and waited for the clock to change, as soon as it changes, it's today. And you got to wait another 24 for tomorrow, but then by then it'll be today. God is God of today, but God is a God of tomorrow. And he already knows what your tomorrow holds for you. That's why somebody wrote a hymn about it. And what'd they say about it? I don't know about tomorrow. I just live from day to day. Well, how can you do that? Be still. And know God is my refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. But if I'm sitting around worrying about tomorrow, If I'm sitting around trying to plan and make sure everything fits perfectly and it has to fit into my planner and into my time the way that it has to be, and it has to go this way, and if it doesn't go that way, it doesn't work this way. If it doesn't work that way, then I'll be upset. Nope. That's called a life of frustration. God will help you in your tomorrow. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be what? Weary. You want to be busy? That's fine. Be busy. Some of us are built to be busy. I don't do well. You can ask my wife. I don't do well just sitting. I don't function. Got to be doing. They shall walk and not faint. You want to run, you want to walk, you want to be busy, that's fine, but you better find time to wait on the Lord. You better find some time to be still and just know who he is. Then he says in verse 10, he said, "Be still, know that I am God. I will be exalted among the heathen. I will be exalted in the earth." You know what the point of our relationship with God is to just exalt him. Is to just lift him up. In every aspect of your day, you should be lifting him up. You should be talking about him. You should catch yourself through the day singing about him. You should be talking about him through your day. David said in Psalm 18:46, "The Lord liveth, and blessed be my rock, and let the God of my salvation be exalted." I'll give you this verse and we'll be done. Romans chapter 8, verse 31. Paul asked this question: "What shall we say to these things? If God be for us, who can be against us?" God is our refuge and strength. In the world that we live in the craziness that we exist in, when you look at world news, it looks terrible. If you stare at it too long, there's moments you think, are we in the tribulation? But then there's nothing coming out of the earth yet, so that gives me the good view on that. And I'm not one of those people, I don't want to be here to see things come out of the earth that can sting men. No, I'm not about it. I want to be here. If God's for us, who can be against us? What is that answer? The only person that I found in my life that can be against me, that's me. I'm really the only person that can ruin a really good day of being still and having just a great day with God, just enjoying his company, just being with him, just talking to him. You know who can ruin that? Just me. Just be dumb. Just get angry over the dumbest things. Right? And what'd you do? You just ruined a day where you and God were just fellowshipping all day, or he was your refuge and strength. You were leaning into him. And your microwave popcorn got burnt. Right? And it's just the end of the world for our soft American life. God is our refuge and strength. He's a very present help in a time of trouble. How do I get to know that? Be still and know that I'm God. All right, let's take a break. Be back at 11.